Hello, and welcome back to all you juicy ear hustlers to another weekly episode of the Corporate Chronicles, the company you keep. Okay, so before we get into this story, let's go ahead and take care of some of the formalities, shall we? And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you'll only be a notification away from the next episode. Just a reminder that this podcast was designed for pure entertainment purposes and is a little over-dramatized and somewhat embellished to protect all innocent parties involved, if they are any. These stories may or may not derive from real events that could have occurred to either myself, family, or friends. These episodes could hit home for a lot of people as we've all had to endure some type of dilemma, slander, awkward moments, and even unwanted advances from people you'd least expect within the corporate world. I say all this because I want you to keep in mind that these stories are being told because the corporate world can be the biggest beast of them all. Yet it hides behind these white collar, white glove image from a 1,000-yard view, but I'm here to help you remove your rose-colored glasses and give you an upfront look of some salacious, crude, unsolicited, and thought-provoking scenarios. Once you've heard the stories I've told it's up to you to decide whether it's based on real events or simply fiction, and how would you handle the same situation if it happened to you. You will now become the narrator and complete the story as you see fit. So I implore you to sit back, relax, and listen to a tale of TNTs for your pure entertainment pleasure. Episode 3, Three's Company. You know, working for a corporation does have its perks, like health benefits, promotions, 401k. You might even find a company that still offers a pension plan. But I feel that the best thing about a company are the people. See, not just any people, and not even all people. I'm talking about the people you meet that you start a relationship with. No, not sexual. Although, if that's what you're looking for, that's your business. I mean those people that you first meet when you're fresh at a new job or transferred to a new department and you're the new odd woman out, and that first engaging smile or hello that lands your way, those people. I always feel like getting to know coworkers reminded me of different styles of dances, and as you try to discern their characteristics, you're always deciding what positions they will hold within your own mini world. So the chatty Cathys will represent the cha-cha for obvious reasons. The corporate kiss-ass climbers are always tap dancing on somebody's nerves. The gossip busybodies seem to swing in with everyone's classified information and tries to swing back out with what they deem is your business, to share the next, clearly. Then there's the negative Nancys, to which I refer to as the line dancers, because they are repetitious in their rhetoric and even with continuous complaints, never stop riding the fence between defeat and evolving, while the pot stirrers will salsa their way to anyone who's close by and pull them into joining their dance of misguided mischief. Now, the people that you've developed a bond, stay late after the close of business to continue that good work rant, can count on to distract your boss while you slip past to your desk, and will save you a plate from potluck when your meeting runs late, those are your tango partners. You keep them close. It's pretty much an unspoken law that we spend more time than not working, and it's inevitable that we convert coworkers into friendships that sometimes spills outside of the workplace and into our personal lives. For many, they have more trust in their teammates than their own families, to where comfort leads their conversations into divulging deep secrets, unfiltered thoughts, life regrets or goals, and simply oversharing their intimate moments. However, we should never confuse the closeness of the tango by blurring the lines and getting caught swerving into the lane of the lambada. This is usually where colleagues run into a dead-end road. Having one great work friend alleviates some of the daily stresses, but having two of them actually makes it worthwhile driving into said work. There's something about dreading the thought of early morning drawn-out meetings, unfinished work on standby where new assignments jump the line, or being asked questions before you even power up your laptop that can push all your buttons at once. But knowing that your friends will be there to talk you off the ledge while simultaneously needing their own coaching makes it all come together. We leaned on each other for camaraderie and usually shared the same nemesis. My two compadres were Carly and Jason. Carly was a little bit younger than I was, but boy, did she have sass and wit. That's what drew me to her energy. She presented herself with boldness and confidence in her speech, continuously surveyed her surroundings whenever she walked, and could always count on her to enjoy good, hearty laughter that would preserve our enthusiasm until lunchtime. Although she had only been with the company for just over a year, she was an instant fit from the day we met. She was kind-hearted, could dish out jokes as quickly as she received them, and kept her commitments up at work. She could definitely give me a run for my money. Now, Jason, he was several years older than the both of us, and yet still somehow was younger than the majority of our teammates within the department. His personality was reminiscent of a typical high school class clown student, but with years under his belt and a mustache under his nose. He too was kind-hearted and acted like our protective brother that could square up to anyone in the office if we dared needed him to step up to the challenge. He and I worked together for almost 5 years and had already formed a tight bond. But with the three of us, we solidified a trio that was as strong as the pyramids in Egypt. Our trio tried to squeeze in as much encounters in one day as we could because that was the best way to make our days go by the smoothest. We collectively grabbed our morning coffees, timed our break schedules as if we were Denzel and Equalizer, and walked each other to our cars, which was our signatory end of the day ritual. We were inseparable. One overwhelming morning, I had asked my friends to move up our lunchtime by 30 minutes as my boss, which is our boss, had scheduled a meeting with me that would trample over our normal lunch period. Due to this commitment, I decided to dedicate only 45 minutes with my crew and allotted the remaining 15 towards the meeting preparation. As I excused myself from the lunch table, Jason and Carly gave me a collective frown, followed by immediate chuckle, as was our pattern to each other whenever meeting alone with our boss. Then I descended into the abyss. The next couple of days became a bit challenging for the trio, as we all started to have things to do that would interrupt our regularly scheduled program. Like I would be able to get morning coffee with Carly, yet only have lunch with Jason, or vice versa. And our end of the day routine turned into someone always having to stay behind for a work emergency. This was starting to take a toll on my work sanity as I was missing the trio as a whole, but knew we all had commitments that we were enslaved to. Focused on troubleshooting a troubled email I had received from my boss, I noticed an invite bounce through from Human Resources that quickly grabbed my attention. And clicking on it, I noticed that there wasn't much in the bio except, "Let's chat," and the meeting was expected to occur in the next 30 minutes. This came out of left field and instantly sent chills down my spine. Did I do something and didn't realize it? Did someone take my directness as sending a nastygram, or did I miss a deadline for someone? My head was spinning while trying to grab hold of one stable thought, but I needed to shift focus back to the task at hand for my boss and complete before heading to this meeting of doom. If it wasn't for the time crunch I was under, I would have relied on my instincts and called an immediate triage meeting of the trio, STAT. While walking into HR's office, I was greeted by a smile and a calmness that resided on his face that put me at ease, but still turned my guard up to high alert. He initiates by asking me how my week has been so far and even returns a joke about how being busy is very contagious during this time of the year. Then he asked me to elaborate more on my work week and did I find anything strange or out of place that bothered me or that I'd wanted to share. In that split second, I find myself reverting back to when I was a child and being asked questions that I felt were going to end up in someone else getting into trouble. And this is what made me uneasy. I sat there puzzled as I literally couldn't think of anything suspicious that I could have witnessed, and it made me think that I missed something very important but was too busy to lend attention. He then calmly says, "Let me help you out. Did you have lunch with Carly and Jason this week?" I looked up at him with relief and said instinctively, "Yes, earlier this week," as he had asked something that actually resonated with me. He too was relieved, but insisted that I run down the details that surrounded that moment. And I was more than glad to provide him with the highlights that took no more than 1 minute to divulge, as my thoughts were still somewhere out of space. Now trying to narrow my focus even more, he sits up straight, clears his throat, and asks me with a very monotone voice, Did you notice any inappropriate behavior between Jason and Carly? I was taken back as a result of the wind being knocked out of my chest. This couldn't be. This wasn't happening now. I couldn't comprehend it. Sitting there for seconds, allowing thoughts to marinate, everything started to gradually fall into place like a jigsaw puzzle. But there's still a few more very important pieces missing. To really get a better idea of the thoughts that are racing through my head, let me take you back a little and provide you with some insight. See, Jason and Carly are friends. However, they walked a very thin line of friendly banter like Jim Halpert and Pam Beasley from The Office, but could easily escalate their exchanges to meet the energy of Pam and Martin, when the mood allowed. They got along just fine as long as I refereed in between, or if one didn't have the energy to poke the other into a match. This was their relationship, and it became very normalized to me, as normal as drinking water throughout the day. Nothing new to see here. Jason enjoyed teasing her with comments that could either come off as flirtatious and would sometimes boost up Carly's ego or put her into an offensive stance with taunting words that could easily get under her skin. It was all dependent on the side of bed he woke up on that morning. However, Carly was no innocent little girl either. Her moods could without a doubt have its own ride at any amusement park as quickly as they went up and down. She was younger, but did have a lot on her plate at work and even more to deal with in her personal life. So I always let things slide when it came to her. But when she is at her best and fired up, she could slice a whole loaf of bread from the sharpness of her tongue alone. So I knew she'd never have a problem defending herself. So this is why I can't seem to wrap my brain around this HR stuff. Who reported whom to HR and why? What was the incident that I was supposed to have seen? What did I miss that was out of the ordinary? I was at a loss, and not just from words. Interjecting my silence, he asked me if I'm remembering something important that could shed some light on this incident, and I shook my head slowly back and forth with hesitation. I needed more specifics before I can lead on either side of the argument, if there was one. So I finally broke my silence and started firing off questions that could help fill in the blanks. What is the actual complaint that I was supposed to have witnessed? Who made the allegations and when did it actually occur? He could tell that my line of questioning was having an effect on me, and he tries to reassure me that he knows that this is hard for me, especially because we're all really good friends. That he only wants to get down to the truth to ensure that any misconduct can get corrected ASAP, but needs my assistance to do so. He continues to say that the reported incident occurred at lunch towards the end of it as the offended person walked away. It was Carly. Carly said that Jason offended her by making remarks about her breasts resting on the tabletop while they were sitting in the break room. She claimed you were there to hear the statement, but can't really remember what your response was to this. However, when speaking with Jason, he insisted that he didn't make the comment with any sexual malice, but in retort to her previous comment to him, and assured that I was not in attendance to this event. Having yet another sidebar thought, Jason was right. I had left before his foolish comment. However, I was there earlier to overhear Carly discuss the tightness of his tee to where she could read Braille through his shirt. And this has now put me in a huge conundrum. Do I dime my Carly for instigating a discussion around chest, breasts, titties, what have you, or protect her rights to be offended when Jason goes too far with his words? Or should I side with Jason's prerogative to defend hurling comments thrown his way, as I know he wasn't really trying to hurt her? What do I do? Should I tell HR that this is their daily dysfunctional habits and that this was all just a misunderstanding based on a bad mood? Would I have the right to dismiss Carly's feelings that way, or was Carly truly in the wrong? Was there more to Jason's comments to her that really moved the line of friendship forever? My heart sank as more questions brewed, but I knew this was the end of the road for our trio. And thinking back through the week, they both were avoiding each other, never bringing me up to speed. There were clues and arrows being drawn to the issue, but my brain chose to fathom other reasons for the sudden change-ups. We were thick as thieves, the three amigos, literally Three's Company. I was Janet. So how did we get here? And more importantly, what do I do? Whatever comes next out of my mouth will forever change my friendships with one of them, as they both, I'm sure, expecting me to support them. I felt disappointed in them for taking the conversation down a path of unknown consequences and assumed we respect each other enough to avoid being stuck in the middle and having to choose. It's not fair. In one last ditch effort to get me to provide some answers, the HR personnel relieves a slow exhale, tilts his head until his eye catches mine, and said, I know this is difficult, but I really need you to tell me your thoughts on this incident. With hesitation governing my thinking, knots occupying my stomach muscles, and weights upon my chest, I parted my lips to provide him with all he needed to know. So, with the story being told as I just laid it out to you, that just leaves me with one question for you. What would you do if you were in my Mary Jane's? Until next time, stay diligent.